your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That, of course, if you couldn't figure that out, that is brand new Soulfly right here from the new album Ritual. And on the line right now, we have the main man himself, the legend himself, Mr. Max Cavalera. Max, how are you, man?
Thanks, man. Thanks for the nice intro.
Sure, dude. Well, Max, it is always a great time when we get something new from Soulfly, and especially these last couple releases. It is a very heavy, thick, but at the same time almost throwback release for you, man. Very good stuff.
Yeah, we were really, digging deep into the archives of Soulfly and decided it was a good time to, look back at the origin, the roots of what made Soulfly exciting in the first place, and we decided to make a record that has all those elements, So Ritual is a bit like a little bit of going back and into some of the early records like Primitive and Soulfly 1 and Prophecy, but always going also forward with the stuff I listen to from extreme metal and stuff. I love it. So it's a combination of both. And I think that's what Ritual came out to me so cool, and also the producing of Josh Wilbur. I cannot say much more of how amazing it was to work with him. He was pushing for a lot of the more groove elements on the album,
sure.
And I was pushing for more of the thrash death metal songs. And I think because of that friction of I'm pulling this way, he's pulling the other way. We're meeting somewhere in the middle. That's why the record, I think, came out so powerful like that. So it was great working with Josh on Ritual. I couldn't be happier with the song, especially the song Ritual, because for me, it's already a Soulfly classic song. To me, it feels like a classic of the ages already. I think a lot of Soulfly fans will really love this track, and I'm excited for them to hear the rest of the record in October.
No doubt, man. Well, Max, since you brought up Josh, let's talk a little bit about what he adds. Do you think? I mean, obviously he's got a not that he needs his resume read, but he's obviously worked with Trivium and All That Remains, and of course Lamb of God is probably the biggest one that he's worked with, that have a distinct sound, and you've always had a distinct sound, and it's interesting how they do mesh, and just like you said, I almost think that if you produce this yourself, it would be a very different record. It'd be a death metal record, probably, knowing how you always try to push the envelope to go heavier and heavier and heavier. Do you think that Josh, keeps you, I don't want to say, keeps the reins on you, but he keeps you focused to not go too heavy to where you might, cross past what traditional Soulfly fans like?
Well, I think it was kind of why we wanted to work with him in the first place. I mean, we wanted to kind of bring some of the Soulfly. I mean, I go on tour a lot, and for many years I always keep hearing from a lot of the fans, man, it would be cool if you go back a little bit to the tribal stuff of the early records, which I didn't do it for a long time, not until Ritual, So I think it was like the perfect time to do that, and with the right person. And Josh came in as a fan. That was the other thing that was kind of cool. He's a huge producer with Grammys like Megadeth and stuff like that. But he came in as a fan, and for him, he said his three favorite records are Chaos, Roots, and Soulfly 1.
Okay.
And he wanted that max, He wanted that kind of like the raw tribal max in a lot of the songs, and we got that, which sure. I think is cool. So I think he helped dig deep in me to kind of bring that max out, so we could have songs like Ritual and Bite the Bullet. And right. I'm being a fan of extreme stuff. That's how you got stuff like Under Rapture with Ross, and That Behind the Eyes with Randy. That's because that Behind the Eyes is just a fucking phenomenal trash song.
Right.
that could have been on Schizophrenia or Beneath the Remains easily. So I think it's cool. I think it was the right guy to do this album and elevated us sounds amazing because his production is always, super great.
Sure.
So we didn't have to worry about the sound, and I was more worried about the lyrics and the riffs and the songs itself, So in the end of the day, I think I achieved what I wanted, which is a bit of a more complete Soulfly record than the other ones had been. And I think it's cool. I think Ritual comes in a great time for 20 years of the band. Like, sure. Also in a cool year. It's 20 years of Soulfly, so it's cool to have these record come out right now.
Sure. And what's always cool with you, too, is that let's say that you had some other songs that maybe didn't get on here because it didn't fit the direction. You still have other projects that, might, the Cav Conspiracy, as an example, Cavalera Conspiracy leaves you, more room to go, maybe a little heavier, or Killer Be Killed, same way. It's. I have to imagine for a musical, a guy that never quits like you, that never stops producing music, that it is nice to have all these different outlets for yourself. No?
Yeah, it is, and I mean, I was very, very happy with Psychosis. To me, it was one of my favorite records I ever done.
Sure.
A lot of times, this kind of records were really kind of hard to do, and Psychosis was very cool because I really clicked with my brother big time on it, and I think that's why it came out so good. And we even heard from other musicians like Nurgle from Behemoth loved Psychosis, and other people have said cool things about the album. And although I didn't really have too many leftovers of Ritual, I think we kind of used everything that
right.
I'm kind of empty of ideas right now, to be honest, to tell you the truth. I'm kind of I did it so much, going from Psychosis straight to Ritual, almost like drained me a little bit. So I need to just tour for a while and not think about a new record. Not until next year, at least.
Sure.
But I think it's cool to have this. I still would like to still even do a heavier project apart from Killer Be Killed, just with some other heavy dudes that likes death metal and black metal, and can probably get together with them and do another kind of project, because there's no limit. It's fun. Right. It's metal, and people love it, so why not,
Sure.
And I'm friends with a lot of really cool musicians out there, and I listen to their stuff all the time, so it won't surprise people to see something heavy come out in the next couple of years from some kind of new project come down the road from us.
Nice. As if these projects weren't heavy enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can always get heavier, man.
Right.
It's never heavy enough.
No doubt, man. Well, dude, I want to ask you one that is not necessarily related to any of your projects specifically, but just you as a guy watching your kids. I just have to imagine that for a guy that has been in metal forever, to have one son behind the kit, to have another with his own band in sight, it has to be just a great feeling for you to look out and see that you really have, kids that have followed in your footsteps.
Yeah, I'm very happy and proud of the family. We are a true metal family, like on the true sense of the word. And to see Richie doing great with the Inside, and Zion and Igor Lodi Kong is fucking awesome. Like, their new stuff is gonna be amazing, man. Right. I love the new songs. People haven't heard them yet, but they're gonna record it next year. And on top of that, we have Zion, which is kicking ass in Soulfly. Ritual is his best album with me, and the last tour, so many people after the show come talk to me, and all they talk was about Zion. They didn't even talk about the show. So it was like, he's becoming a big draw in the Soulfly world. And his drumming is amazing. I mean, he's really learned from the best, sitting behind all the Soulfly drummers, a little bit from my brother, even from Bill Ward. He sat behind Bill Ward for a Black Sabbath run we did in Europe. Sure. And really pay off, man. He's becoming a great drummer, and the sky's the limit. I think he can go on to become just an amazing, amazing drummer if he keeps training like that. And but as a father, I'm super proud, very happy, and I think it's cool to have that kind of father and son connection to see live. I think fans also can relate to that. A lot of my fans are older and have kids now, so they know how it is to be a dad.
Right.
and they see me sharing the stage with him and having fun, and I think that's cool. That's a positive thing, and I'm very, very pleased with the whole thing, man, honestly.
I don't blame you, man. It's very cool. Well, you know, while this guy's not a son, I think you have put this guy on the map, but I still don't think he gets enough credit. Do you think that Marc gets the credit he deserves as a lead player? Because it just seems like, you know, people talk about this guy or that guy or whatever, and I don't hear his name nearly as often as I think you should.
Yeah, but I think Marc doesn't care about that stuff, which I think that's one of the qualities that Marc has. He doesn't really give a shit.
Right.
He loves what he does. He loves playing Soulfly. He loves working with me. We are total connected. He gives 150% every show, no matter if there's 10 people or 10,000, which is rare, man, you know. And sometimes when there's not a lot of people, it's kind of hard to go out there and still be excited, and he does it, man, you know. And I do believe he's underrated big time, but I'm kind of happy about that, because if he gets too big, then he'll go away. He'll join the big band, you know, and I'll be out looking for another guitar player, and it would suck.
Right.
It would really suck to lose Marc, and also I'm kind of happy. It's almost like it's, you know, like a secret thing that we have, like it's like this treasure that we have, you know.
Sure.
And he's fantastic, man. I mean, he is an amazing guitar player. I sit sometimes around the dressing room just to hear him play. I just go in the dressing room to hang out,
right,
while he's practicing, just to hear him playing, like some of the flamenco sessions that he does in the dressing room, or he's just shredding. He's just killer. He's a true guitar hero.
No doubt. Has he become like important to you as in the creative part of Soulfly as well, or do you still write pretty much everything and then he fits to it? Yeah,
Marc doesn't get involved too much in riffs. He leaves that up to me. He knows how much I love making riffs, and I don't really need that much help on that department. And what he does that's cool, he adds to the riff. So he thinks of different stuff to put on top of the riff to make the song even cooler and more exciting.
Sure.
And, of course, then there's always the solo. And on Ritual, I prepare some special places for him to solo, like that Behind the Eyes. I really kind of molded the whole session for him, and I gave him I told him, this is on, I give it to you, this is on a platter. You better do something good with this. And, and his solo on it is one of my favorite solos he ever did. He always kind of surprised me with the stuff he does. Like the beginning of Ritual is a little bit of a trademark. He did on stuff like Prophecy and Inflicted, but he does it again. You know, time and time again, he comes up with something that blows my mind.
Sure.
So our connection is great, man. We just work good together, you know, like I write the riffs, he puts stuff on top of the riffs, we complement each other. Sometimes he doesn't even play the same riff as me, but it goes great with my riff. So we record it like that, and it's perfect for the song. It's what makes the Soulfly heavy sound, is the both of us playing together.
No doubt, man. Well, Max, one thing that you did that's obviously heavy, and I thought was one of the coolest things of your entire career, was about a year or so ago when you went out and you toured the Nailbomb record. Talk a little bit about that for you, because, you know, as an outsider fan that was a fan of yours, you know, basically since you came up, I was thrilled that you were out there doing Point Blank. Yeah, I don't know that a lot of people caught that project though then or now. You know, they just don't relate that one because you've had so many other projects. How did that tour go for you, and did you just have a great time playing those songs once again?
Yeah, I did, man, and it was probably one of my favorite tours we ever done, because I had both of my kids on the stage. I had Zion playing drums, and we had Igor playing keyboards, samplers, and doing Alex's vocal parts.
Right.
And it was viewed as a kind of an underground tour. That's why we had these really underground bands like Cannabis Corpse and Harm's Way and Today's the Day and Lodi Kong. It was all underground, and we went into like 100 seaters, man, you know, everywhere. In Canada, we did 23 shows. And Nailbomb was really fun from the beginning, from when we first started. You know, like me and Alex wrote it in our house, and then Gloria came in and she's like, I'm going to get you a record deal. This stuff sounds great. And we weren't even thinking about an album. And she got us a deal with Roadrunner, and we made Point Blank. And still today, one of my favorite records I ever did is just the anger of it is unmatched anywhere else. It's just very, very angry. And even, especially today with this day and age, that record fits today's era more than it did when it were first made.
Sure.
Songs like Word of Shit, 24-Hour Bullshit.
Right.
It's more perfect for now than it was when we first recorded. It's like the world has gone down so much that it's better now than it was. So to get to do that live every night, and it was kind of like we wanted the kind of same vibe, so I didn't talk much between songs. It was almost like a little bit unfriendly kind of vibe on the stage, like an angry kind of thing, you know. So it was cool, man. It was definitely, we had the original backdrop with the KKK, with the target in his face, and had some of the original merchandise, 100 Reasons to Hate T-shirt.
Right.
Definitely fun, man. Yeah, one of a kind, and one of my favorite tours I ever done.
No doubt, man. Well, I'd imagine one of your upcoming favorite tours you're ever going to do is when you get out there and tour for the new record called Ritual. It is out in October. And Max, before I let you go, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new record and maybe tell us a story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this interview up with?
Yeah, it would be cool. I like a lot. I like Feedback a lot, which is kind of like, it's the last song on the record before the instrumental song. Mm-hmm. And that has my son Igor singing on it. He wrote some lyrics for it. The song is all about life on the road and has my favorite line, I think, of the whole record, which is, shithole venue smells like rot. And I think all of us can relate to that, all of those musicians that tour everywhere. Sometimes you pull in on a venue and it smells like pure death, and it's a shithole.
Right.
But you know it's going to be awesome when it's packed and when the metal is flowing through the air. It's going to be great, you know. But yeah, I think Feedback's a great song about life on the road, and all the things that happen in the chorus is, you know, when there's no regrets. You know, we live this life with no regrets. That we take the good with the bad. That's the message of Feedback, and I love the track.
All right, well, let's see if everybody else does as well. Let's check it out now. It is Soulfly with Feedback right here on your Classic Metal Show.